Oh my gosh. So, since my earthly father is far away and my children are far away, I spent Father's Day with a father that's even stranger than me. I spent Father's Day with Caitlyn Jenny. I watched the entire first season of I Am Kate Today. I did. I expected laughter or something, but I guess it's just too hot to expect a reaction. I'll just pretend like I'm alone with the camera and act like I'm really enthusiastic. So anyway, boys and girls, so I did this. And what I want to say is that I've been pretty cool about the whole Caitlyn thing. For the most part I've said, I have my issues and my feelings, and I've even said I don't like Caitlyn, but that doesn't mean we should pick on her. We should totally support her because, she's who the trans people get, and that's what they get, and God bless them, and it's better than nothing, and hopefully it'll help a lot of people. I just want to say, I take back everything I've said, and I will say from the bottom of my black little heart, this is the best reality TV program I've ever watched in my entire life. That I learned more today than I've ever known on the subject of trans people. And every single negative thing I've read about Caitlyn, and I've seen, what people have said, especially the gay community, is not true. Is not true. And everything that is true, even though I just said it's not true, everything that could be true is fascinatingly addressed on this show. And I will say, and I said this about The Normal Heart, when The Normal Heart aired on television, that I won't even have a discussion with Christians about their feelings about gay people if they haven't taken the time to watch The Normal Heart, because The Normal Heart explained the problem with religion taking away rights and freedoms from people they don't agree with, better than anything I could ever say. Season 1 of I Am Kate, episode 2, explains everything about trans people better than I could ever explain it to anyone in my life. And the reason is because this program from start to finish has a panel of people on it. It's not just the Follow Caitlyn Around show. It shows her interacting with very, very important people in the trans community, even people who wrote the books that I studied in college when I made this my field of interest for my degree. Looking at her in the face and saying, you are one privileged bitch, and you are going to go out and represent us, and you need to be different, and you need to do this, and you need to learn this. And I sat there and I went, no one ever talks about what I just saw, and I saw it with my own eyes. They're all fake too? Another thing that I didn't know, Caitlyn Jenner, who is so privileged that she can get all this plastic surgery and be so much better looking than poor trans people who have to transition without any money, looks like shit when she wakes up in the morning just like the rest of us. I've never seen anything like that on television before. I saw her without her makeup. The misinformation, I'm not even going to address. I'm never going to address anything individually with anyone who hasn't taken the time to spend. I know in this room I'm talking about, but remember we're dealing with TV Land, and this is the one that's going on Facebook, and I have a lot of gay friends on Facebook that have bashed the hell out of this woman, including trans people, and they're wrong too. And I watch really famous trans people that I have admired talking to the camera and bitch about her. and say, she's privileged, she's privileged. She has all this money. We didn't have this money when we transitioned. And I'm like, really? You look better than her. Almost everybody looks better. No offense. What I'm saying, she looks fantastic. She's 6 foot tall and looks like Bruce Jenner. You can't take that away. You can't cut that off of her. You know what I'm saying? And it revealed the complete lostness anybody in their position would feel. And I've never in my life seen anyone put in a more unfair position as a famous person since Donna Summer became a Christian at the height of her career where all her fans were gay. You know, she wasn't taken away from it, and she wasn't taught how to speak to gay people, and she blurts out stuff like, well, homosexuality is a sin. Caitlyn was out for 2 weeks. Not 2 months, not 2 years. When we all saw all this stuff. That was can you imagine if you had plastic surgery and 2 weeks later what it's like? Just have any kind of work done. Anyone's had any kind of work done knows that. Or just have surgery. Plain old surgery. My gosh. And she's thrust in the public eye. And everybody said, well, she asked for it. She asked for it. I saw what I saw with my own eyes. And that's all I'm going to say is I saw with my own eyes that there's a fine line between asking for it and deserving it in any situation. And once you get it, that doesn't mean you like it anymore. But Boy George, Chaz Bono, countless people say to her on film, you have a responsibility now. A lot of responsibility to put on someone who has no clue what they're doing. Because it could take years, and they show people who've been transitioned for years. And how different they are than Caitlyn. But they're not being thrust in the limelight. And some of them were really famous people. Not as famous as Bruce Jenner. Just the way it is. And I've said this over and over and over again. If trans people are just people, then they're not obligated to be good people or any kind of people. So if Caitlyn is a Republican, conservative, anti-gay woman trapped in a man's body, that doesn't make her any less trans. She's just not someone some people would like. She has every right to be a bad person. But even that, even the things that she got vilified for saying about gay marriage were on this show. The conversation that she's being quoted is on the show, and seeing it entirely in context, she said nothing wrong. And even if she did, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I watched 6 hours of this today, and all I can say is that thank God there's something for these young people. Thank God there's something. There's resource. They list resource. There's phone numbers. There's websites on the show. Thank God. How on earth could the gay community turn on this person the way they did? And I've never supported that. And I've defended her against Christians like crazy. And I've been pro-trans, and I don't care what their reason is and what their problem is, or if they're right, or if they're, I don't care. But all I can say is, I would never want to be in that woman's heels. Ever. Ever. Because that person does not have an easier life than me. That's me talking. That person does not have an easier life than me. Courage, my gosh, how many times have people said, I was brave this year? How many times have we seen it on posts about, you were so brave, Paisley, you were so brave? When I watched her get her ESPY on this, I'd already watched the awards and watched her speech and liked it. But when I watched what led to it on this, I sat there and I went, I think it took a lot of courage just to walk out in heels. I think it took a lot of courage. And I don't know how that award's given out, but I bet it's publicity. I bet it's where they're going to get the most endorsements and the most money, just like all other awards. And I sat there and I went, all I can say is that whether anyone understands it and whether anybody likes it or not, there are countless people that are convinced they're trans. And they mostly are trans. And some of them are a little loony. But it doesn't matter. It's not for us to figure out. It's for us to send people to like-minded people that can comfort and keep these human beings alive, or else they're going to get killed by somebody or kill themselves. It's just the reality of the world we live in now. And I know I'm preaching to the choir in the room, but I just want to make a point. Have I not said this all along? Have I not been supportive of this all along? This is all I've said all along. This is not a popular Christian position. And in all fairness, it's not even a popular gay position. And then when supporting trans people, but coming down to saying something nice about Caitlyn, that's not even a popular trans position. This week, now I'm up to 5 huge blowout with trans people that I know who are pissed off that I stood up and said, stop blaming Christians for what happened in Orlando. A Christian didn't walk in and do that, and Christians have never walked into a gay bar and shot people. Okay, there's no episode of Christians doing that. Actually, Christians just like mass shootings at Planned Parenthood. That's it. That's what we're into. So, the many times that people have gone into gay bars and killed people because they were gay, it just hasn't been Christians. And I stood up for that, and people attacked me, and I said, you need to partner with us. You need to partner with us because you need numbers to change legislature. You need our votes. And trans people got in on this, and I'm like, really? 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 Because in all fairness, there is a bit of a distinction between gays and trans people. Please don't make me explain the difference between gender and sexuality tonight, but there is a difference. And I'm not the one who lumped them together. Gay people don't necessarily support trans people, and trans people don't necessarily like gay people. And then all of a sudden, everyone's taking Orlando and saying, this happened to my people, my people, my people. You know what had happened to my people? Human beings. And I'm not negating the fact that it happened at a gay bar. I go to gay bars. I don't want to get killed at one. But I'm not going to pretend that this was just a gay thing. This was an American thing. This was on American soil. This affects every single human being. If the alligator had eaten a gay man, would we say it was a gay crime? Seriously, at some point, we have to point out and say, people like to fight for the sake of fighting because that's what we do. That's our nature. And at some point, we have to back up and say, we have to find a way to work together now. We have to find a way to watch each other's back. My gosh, I sound like a hippie in the 70s. Or a Christian. So what? 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 or 12 asshole Christians are saying really negative things about Orlando? Who cares? Why would anyone continue to advertise Westboro Church as an example? They're nothing. They're insignificant. They're not even a church. The leader's not even part of the church anymore. Who cares? These people are nothing. They're all insignificant little bugs. The guy in Sacramento that they're outside protesting right now, hundreds of people outside this church protesting, made him really rich and famous worldwide. He's been around doing this for years. It's the same people over and over and over again. We just keep making them more and more famous. Now it goes viral over and over and over again because we want to support hate. Under the guise of we won't allow there to be hate anymore because we hate the fuckers that are causing the hate. So let's kill the fuckers that are killing us before they kill us because we don't want there to be hate. I hate hate. And it's all the same. I get people are mad, I don't care. I'm just as angry. I'm just as angry. Why on earth do I, as a gay American Christian Jew, have to walk on eggshells on this subject around anybody? I'm just as affected. I'm just as angry. I'm just as angry. It happened to me as much as it happened to you. Not more special than me. I have a much broader perspective because I have, I'm sorry, the mind of God, and I see a much bigger picture. But no one could possibly think that I'm not sympathetic to the effects an event like that has on gay culture. I have nothing to say. I'm not going to defend Caitlyn's right to not be perfect at being what we want her to be, or what you want her to be. I don't even want her to be anything anymore. I just want those shoes. Oh my gosh. There's one pair of pumps. I said, gosh, if only I could wear those and it wouldn't hurt. I would just like to prance around the house just one day, just to see what it was like. But you know what? I've had several trans people say to me this week, specifically, instead of getting all butthurt that we're bagging on Christians, why don't you actually do something about it, Paisley? Why don't you stand up to your own people and tell them how wrong they are? And I'm like, that's all I have done with my life. Literally, all I've done with my life. That's it. That's it. That's my legacy. I have stood up to Christians and told them how wrong they are for hating anybody who wasn't a Christian or wasn't like how I wanted Christians to be. That's all I've done. And I've had people look me in the eye and say, I can't, you should do something. You should control your people. They're getting uppity. You know, Jesus, when he'd already fed the multitudes, on another day, he was out with the multitudes, and the Pharisees came and started bagging on him. And he stood up to them and he moved the people away and he said to the people, you need to beware the leaven of the Pharisees. You need to beware the leaven of the Pharisees. And everybody got into a panic, like, what's he talking about leaven? What's he talking about yeast right now? It must be because we're all hungry and he doesn't know how he's going to feed us. When they already knew he could. And leaven, anytime it appears in the Bible, from cover to cover, represents sinful teaching that comes from so-called religious people. Period. So when he says beware the leaven of the Pharisees, he means the shit they're going to serve you with your food. Don't eat everything they serve because there's going to be some bad stuff in it. And if you Google a concordance and then you concord leaven in the Bible and see all the times it's mentioned, it always has to do with that. And it's not like I'm that smart, and I know that. The Jews should have known that by then. They should have known that. I'll give you a hint. Birds are the same way. Birds are bad in the Bible. So when Jesus says the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, and the mustard seed is the smallest seed in the world, but when you plant it, it becomes huge, and all the birds of the air come in and nestle in its branches, he's not painting a pretty picture. He's talking about all the idiots that are going to take over Christianity and ruin it for everybody. Birds and leaven, boo. Olives, good. Okay? Keep an eye on the Bible. Keep an eye on the Bible. But Jesus said to these people, when they were thinking he was talking about food, he said, my gosh, Are your hearts so calloused? If this weren't mixed company, I'd make a joke about how every time I read this scripture, I would think that it would be funny to say, this reminds me of the times I've said to people I've known in my life, hey, you might want to change hands now and again, your right hand's getting calloused. But I wouldn't say that at church. But calluses are flesh that have been overused over and over again, just trash and trash and trash, where the flesh has to develop this hard, crusty thing so that it can handle whatever it's taking. And he's saying, your hearts are so beaten, your hearts are so beaten, your hearts are so destroyed that they're callous. And that's all I think about these trans people who got pissed off at me. They could actually think I'm not on their side, that I said anything against them. And for the record, I'm allowed to say whatever the hell I want against them and still be on their side. You know why? I'm human and I'm learning. I'm allowed to make mistakes, and I'm not sorry for that. And I don't expect any human being to be any better than trying their best. And that's all I saw in Caitlyn Jenner this whole time. I went, gosh, that person's an idiot, but they learn from their mistakes. Someone said to them, stop saying them about the trans people. Say we. You sound like you're different than us. And the minute she says we, trans people, the famous ones, say, she doesn't represent us. You alienate, they judge you. You include, they judge you. You know what? Their hearts are callous. Their hearts have been beaten and beaten and beaten and beaten so much, they don't even know what good or bad is anymore. It's deception. Just plain old deception. For any trans person to think, I'm not doing my best for them. I'm not perfect. I'm not trans. So I don't know everything. And I started from a place of ill yuck. These people are creepy. Just like every other non-trans person. Not one person alive starts with, oh no, this is a great idea. Cut off your tits, cut off your dick. Oh yeah, I'm all for it. Nobody's good with that. Nobody is good with that. We all need to be educated. A non-trans person that's trying to learn is a gift from God. And they owe nothing to anyone. Caitlyn owes nothing to the trans community whatsoever. She has no obligation to be good, she has no obligation to be right, and she has no obligation to be an example. Some of the most famous people, famous trans people that were in this, I looked them up on Wikipedia and their quotes were, I don't see myself as an example of the trans community. They themselves said that about themselves. One of the famous people was Candace Kane, who I knew back in LA, and she's absolutely stunning and fantastic, and she's really actually more famous than you realize if you saw her. You go, I've seen her and stuff, and I know who she is, and she said that. But Caitlyn has to be an example. Caitlyn has to be perfect. My gosh. Why would anybody support these communities if this is how they act? If this is how they act, I will tell you something. If you're drowning, you better hope I have one of those hook things. Because there's no way in hell I'm jumping in and having you drown me. For the record, Jesus didn't jump in and get drowned either. He rose above. I remember when I read that the other day, I go, I wonder how I could turn that into, I don't have to jump in the water and save you and run the risk of you drowning me. But seriously, I know people are suffering and I know people are angry, but they don't get to hit me. They don't get to flail at me. They sure as hell don't get to bring me down with them. You know why? I'm down enough. You might not know this, but my new record's called Down. Because I'm down enough. I'm down enough, and you're down enough, and they're down enough. And it is a time where hate is unacceptable on all sides of every issue. I know everybody's hurt, I know everybody's scared, I know everybody's angry, but it doesn't change the truth. And that is, they wouldn't be where they are now if they had turned to God before. That is a fact. That is a fact. Every human being who is suffering right now is either suffering in their relationship with God and whatever's causing them to suffer, or they're suffering without a relationship with God and what they have to suffer. And there's a big difference. There's a big difference. And every human being, no matter how put upon they are, no matter how hard their life has been, no matter how hard their people have had it, no matter how many people were taken over from another country and forced to come to America and be our slaves, it doesn't matter. And for the record, did not those people write the very best gospel songs in history? Just saying. Just saying. I know I'm making people laugh, but y'all know how I really feel about that music. I did a whole record of it. That means I'm not prejudiced because I did a whole record of Negro spirituals. You know what? I'm prejudiced, I'm bigoted, I'm biased, I'm anti-everybody at some point during the day. And all I can say is that you either know your Heavenly Father or you don't. And either way, that's your responsibility, not anyone else's, not even mine. Not even mine. I'm supposed to shed light, but I'm not the light. Oh, Jesus said things like that. He said, don't call me good, send the one who sent me. Even he deferred to our Heavenly Father. Even he deferred to our Heavenly Father. Best movie I've ever seen about Christianity, The Last Temptation of Christ, the most controversial movie in Christian history. The best movie about being a Christian I've ever seen. See the movie, pretend Jesus represents being a Christian. It's the best movie I've ever seen on the subject. Falls down, he gets back up. He falls down, he gets back up. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. But everything's getting heated up. Everybody's really angry. Everybody's wrong. Till they come through your door and take you away, you have not lost your rights and freedoms. You have not lost your rights and freedoms. So many people are calling losing rights and freedoms when it's really the threat of possibly one day maybe actually having no rights and freedoms. Now, I've seen the internet, I have 200 videos of me saying we need to nip this in the bud, so I'm not making light of it. But it does not give us license and freedom to run around like the Nazis are taking us away. And we have to revolt. We have to revolt. I'm fine with the protests, I love them. I love the angel protest at the Orlando victims' funeral. I love it. If you haven't seen it, Google it. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. However, I have zero tolerance for Christians saying they hate queers and making fun of Caitlyn or any other trans person. Zero tolerance. Zero. I've unfriended and blocked a lot of my Christian friends, and I wrote them. I said, I've asked you nicely to stop. I can't control what you do, but you're like a train wreck I can't keep looking at. I keep looking at your page, and it's stumbling me. It's making me hate you. So I'm blocking you on Facebook, so I don't look at what you do anymore. Feel free to email me anytime you want. We can hang out whenever you want. I just don't want to see this ugliness anymore. But I feel the exact same way with the gay and trans community. Zero tolerance. Enough's enough. They do not get to fling mud just because someone flung mud at them. Someone has to step back and say it's all the same. People post over and over and over again. Look at the hate coming from this person. Look at the hate coming from this person. And then someone else says, yeah, we should go there and shoot them up. We should go shoot them up.